Regina will be spending more on a new aquatic centre. That was one of the decisions City Council made yesterday. And that facility will cost $40 million more. $30 million of that will be taken by redirecting money from other projects. And at the same meeting, Council voted, as we've been hearing in the news, 10-1 to approve the firing of City Manager Nikki Anderson without cause. To tell us more, I'm joined by Regina Mayor Chad Bachynski. Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
So how did City Council come to the decision to approve more money for the Aquatic Centre?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, we had a recommendation come forward from administration who had done a lot of work to determine how we can manage the increase seen when we went from a Class D to a Class B estimate. So a more refined estimate given the current construction and trades and market circumstances. And so given that information, administration did a lot of work to determine how we could manage that. And so, 30 million has been accomplished through reprioritization of projects. And then the final 10 million was through additional debt financing.
And why was there a need for this much more money?
Yeah, this was a refinement of scope. And a refinement of an estimate. So we went from an estimate that was a more broad scope. And then as you work through the design process and through the design refinement, that's where the realization of the more refined costs came in. And frankly, we're seeing costs escalate through all capital projects across the nation, frankly. There's a number of provincial projects too that have seen challenges like this as well. So we're not immune to these factors when we have tariffs impacting materials, limited trades, those types of things.
And then, of course, this is a project we've talked about even before you became the mayor. This was a project that was talked about many times. Why has it come up so many times over the years?
I can't speak to why it necessarily came back that number of times, especially before my time. What I can tell you is that overwhelmingly, we've seen public support for an aquatic center. This is a center that will be available all year round for our city, where we do have a number of cold months. And aquatics is hailed as one of the most important types of leisure activities for a community. So I'm very excited to see that we're continuing to move forward, and hopefully we can move quickly to mitigate any more escalations.
And I know in previous times there was a need to make a decision by certain deadlines because of federal money that was on the table for this. Now, has rehashing this had any effect on the federal money?
No, we're okay. We have the funding in place, but that's why it was important to ensure that we continue to reaffirm our commitment to getting it built.
And I mentioned a little bit about this in the introduction. There have been advocates for other groups, so dog parks, pickleball, Massey Pool, to name a few. They're worried about losing money because of this new, the additional money that's needed for it. What can they expect here?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, this was a reprioritization. This wasn't a cancellation of those initiatives. So we could see some delays on some new builds in that. That being said, this is a step to say this is where we have determined we can find some funding from. If we can continue to see growth in Regina that we are seeing, and we continue to see additional investment and revenue in the city, those numbers can change, and they can change for the better, where we may be able to do more than one thing and look to bring some of those things back into an earlier timeline.
And when can people start to see expect to see, I should say, construction begin for the new aquatic center?
It should be, I believe, this fall. We should be breaking ground on it, so we'll be moving as quickly as we can to get there.
Excellent. Okay. And then, so we also mentioned the update on the city manager. What can you tell us about what happened there?
Yeah, so council made a decision yesterday to move in a new direction, and voted to make a change in leadership with the city manager position. To align with basically we're looking for leadership, a different capacity. We want to make sure we have someone in place that aligns with this council's strategic priorities and our objectives, given that there's 9 out of 11 new councillors on board.
If it's a new direction, why was that person placed on leave months ago?
Yeah, and this is one where that's a personnel matter that, unfortunately I can't speak to details on a personnel leave. But I can tell you I can just speak to the decision that we made yesterday to move forward.
And then this is, of course, the second person terminated in that role in 3 years and the highest salaried position at the city. How much is this going to cost to pay out?
Yeah, I can confirm there will be a severance. That's part of the contract, and I don't have the numbers right now, but those will be made public as soon as those details are fleshed out. The decision was just made yesterday, and so we'll have those details worked out, and they will be made public once available.
Yeah. Previously, I know the previous person in 2022, they still had 2 years left on a contract. That payout was $850,000. Can you tell us how much is left on the contract for Nikki Anderson?
It was a 5-year contract. So it was, I think we were about 2.5 years in, is my recollection. So we're about halfway through that contract.
Is there
But
a
again,
concern?
okay.
I know you're always talking about, how much money we can use on certain things. Is there a concern about the amount of money that City Council has spent on firing city managers?
No, it's a fair concern. And again, what I can speak to is, well, one, we'll definitely get the details to make sure that we're very clear on what this means. And again, City Council felt necessary to move in a different direction. And this was overwhelmingly supported at Council yesterday.
And then for, making the next steps, is there going to be any trouble with recruitment when we've seen that position terminated twice in 3 years?
No, a fair question. I won't speculate on until we go through the process, but ultimately I feel we have a great city. I think we have great opportunity here. And I think that we'll be able to find someone with the right fit that council will have success with. And yeah, as of right now, I'm not concerned.
And then oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and I have every confidence in Jim Nicol as acting city manager in the interim while we go through that search.
Right, and he's done this before. He's stepped in that position as well.
Absolutely.
And then at the meeting as well, a few items passed unanimously. One of those was a new facility by All Nations Hope. What can you tell us about that one?
Yeah, it's a amazing initiative, and I mean, I mean to say it's a slam dunk in terms of you saw the unanimous consent on that one. That organization does such great work in the community, and ultimately they had they have the funding in line, they had all the plans ready to go. So it was great to see that move forward, and it was great to be a part of making that decision to move it forward.